We at Edukemy helped in fulfilling the dreams of 51 UPSC 2020 toppers. If you too have a dream to crack the UPSC examination, subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay up to date with your UPSC preparation. क्योंकि तैयारी आपकी, जिम्मेदारी हमारी.
Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harsh Singh and in this video we shall cover one of the most talked and most asked questions from the students who are preparing for civil service examination. कौन सा paper पढ़ना है? Which paper to read? Should we at all read newspapers? There are so many of them. How to prepare notes? And therefore, in this video, we shall talk about an important question: how to be able to read newspaper for UPSC examination. We will decipher quite a number of thoughts regarding the same. Why to read the newspaper? If at all, is there a substitute to it or not? Which newspaper to read? What is the best time to read a newspaper? Savere padhe in the morning, afternoon or in the evenings? I will provide a rational solution to these questions. Kitna time spend karna hai? How much time should we spend on a newspaper? Right now we are spending 2 hours. Is it good? Or if I'm spending 1 hour, is that sufficient time? So we will go through a demonstration of the same as well. I will present you a paper and we will go through the newspaper, how to cover it for UPSC and competitive exams. What to pick up and what not to pick up from the newspaper for note making. And this is where the role of syllabus and previous year questions also is very, very pertinent, very important. We will also understand what is the role of PYQs and the syllabus here. We will also understand what is the essence of current affairs. हर रोज नया आता है क्या? Is it new every day, or do we have to understand the essence of it? We will deal with this question and we will also understand the usual student psychology, what I have gone through, what many of us are going through at this moment, and what are the ways through which we can actually emerge out of the traditional psychology, right? And at the end of the video, I will also give you an important alternative. Something ये लड्डू एंड में जो आपको मिलेगा and probably will be able to help you get through your current affairs, right? The Achilles heel, the pain point. So before anything, why to read newspapers? Let me show you the last year question paper itself. Be it UPSC paper 1 for the main examination, paper 2, paper 3, even ethics paper. I have put a screenshot here of ethics paper as well. Be it optional papers, essays, all of them, there is a huge relevance of current affairs. I will show this to you through all these slides that I have. Now, the question of paper 1 says, the process of desertification does not have climatic boundaries. Justify with examples. These topics were never in use 15 years, 10 years and even 5-7 years back. Desertification and climatic boundaries. This has come up in the current affairs domain. The examples are current affairs itself that you read every day in newspapers. This is only one of the questions. Look at another random question, right? So look at the question of account for the present location of iron and steel industries away from the source of raw material by giving examples. See, they are asking for present location of iron and steel industries. Many iron and steel industries have become export oriented, present location. And we have to give the source of raw material. Mind you, this has been asked in GS paper 1, which is considered a traditional paper. Traditional geography should have been asked, but they are asking questions based on current affairs. Look at another question. How will the melting of Himalayan glaciers have a far-reaching impact on water resources of India? See, so melting of Himalayan glaciers have been studied lately, and what impact does it have on water resources, whether it causes flooding or increased outreach to people, spreading the availability of water. This all is discussed throughout in the current affairs domain itself. How do we get that understanding? Through reading newspapers, through reading current affairs. Moving ahead, see, COVID pandemics has accelerated class inequalities and poverty. A question from society. Whereas traditional questions from society would be asked from class divide, from gender divide, right, from regional divide. They have linked all of this to COVID crisis. How COVID has accelerated class inequalities and poverties. It comes from in the newspapers, right? Migrant crisis is one. The divide between urban and rural, digital divide, all of them covered through current affairs. So only if you read current affairs, if you read only current affairs, This also gets completely solved, a question like this, right? Do you agree that regionalism in India appears to be a consequence of rising cultural assertiveness? When you argue this, where are the examples coming from? Right? From the newspapers, from current affairs. Relevant context has to be picked up, right? When you talk about regionalism. Okay, moving ahead. There are so many questions. Drought, floods, interrupted navigation, interlinking of rivers, always in news. It is in news, that means it is current affairs. They're asking these questions in geography, right? Polity. Look at this question. Immense potential of solar energy and regional variations in its development. Elaborate. Now, National Solar Mission is in focus. International Solar Alliance is what India is speaking of around the whole world. Yahi to answer hai. This is the answer here, right? So, not only this, look at another question. How have digital initiatives in India contributed to the functioning of educational system? Digital initiatives. This is the prerogative after COVID. And little one, just before COVID as well. So this is all in the current affairs domain. If you read opinions, if you read the current affair articles, you will be able to get through these questions 5, 7, 10 pointers easily to be able to write 2 to 3 page answers, right? All you need to do is have the right material in your mind and prepare it. Similarly, this is the paper of ethics, right? And the ethics paper itself, one of the questions here is on national education policy. See? We have to examine the national education policy in the light of the statement given. So we will have to know national education policy, right? Not only this, if you are talking about emotional intelligence in one of the questions and we have to discuss this, we are going to give this every statement an example. It comes from what we pick up from current affairs. Where else? Otherwise, we will only speak of Mahatma Gandhi and Swami Vivekananda, right? So, I have picked up various other questions from the last year question itself, and you should pause this video to be able to have a look. This is from geography optional. All the optionals, be it geography, public administration, political science, international relations, sociology, all of them have the relevance of current affairs. When we talk of blue flag certificate, it is in news. Urban sprawls in news. Urban area. Workforce composition with respect to urban-rural divide, always in news. Look at the economic maritime strategic interest of India in South China Sea. What is it? Traditional? I don't agree with that. Skill promotion in India, right? All happening in the job deficit region. This is geography. Similarly, if you look at the paper of political science and international relations, these are the two most popular options opted by students for UPSC. Indo-US strategic partnership, right? India's claim for a permanent seat in United Nations Security Council. India was the chair, of the United Nations Security Council in the month of August. Not only that, India is also a non-permanent member there. Current affairs. India-China standoff. All that you're seeing in the news these days, right? Examine critically the role of India in shaping emerging world order. Kya hai ye sab? What is all this? All current affairs. Now, if you get into polity, PubAd as well, questions from current affairs. Right. So why to read newspapers is not the question that a student for UPSC, the preparation should be asking. Kaise padhna hai? How to read it? Where to read it from? How to prepare notes? That should be the context. All the toppers, all the people who get through the examination, this is one of their pillars. Preparation of current affairs along with optional, along with strength in writing skills. These are the traditional strengths that everybody needs to have. So why to read newspapers is out of question, right? I have only presented some of the question papers. If you look at the paper 2, paper 3 of GS, complete paper, all the 18-20 questions you will encounter, most of them will have direct or current affairs relevance will be there for them, right? So which newspapers to read is the actual question that you should be asking. The solution to this is the popular ones. Yeah, this is the traditional solution, right? What people say is read the Hindu, the Indian Express, right? So my answer to this question would be read the newspaper which has diversity of news coverage. Diversity. They should not be focusing only on economic news. They should not be focusing only on governance parameters, right? So while we have some newspapers for economy like Business Standard, we do have Economic Times. Focus is economy. There are some who focus primarily on governance. There's some who are on bashing the government. Now this is also something that could prove counterproductive. So we must have newspapers which have balanced opinions, right? Otherwise, birds of the similar feathers, they flock together. जो हम पढ़ेंगे वैसे ही हम सोच के वैसे ही हम आंसर भी लिख देंगे. So we have to have balance of opinion. That is why I would suggest that one can go ahead with a common newspaper, a good newspaper, Indian Express or The Hindu, right? One good newspaper covering many aspects, one good paper is sufficient. So when we question which all newspapers, एक ही sufficient है. One is sufficient. If you are powerful enough, if you are disciplined enough, one is good enough, right? Now, the next important question, what time of the day should I utilize to read newspapers? This is very, very relevant and very, very important. I have gone through this and I have learnt it the harder way. And this is recommendation from many, many people. There are three categories of times of the day you can divide it in: morning, afternoon, and evening. Morning is the time when people usually get up. The mind is fresh and we are at a creative best. Fresh mind, we have time for creativity and we have problem solving approach that time. Not that in the evening we don't solve problems, but the solutions come faster, alternatives are many. Morning is the time to utilize the most fruitful hours of the day. So this is one, and then afternoon we start to laze a little, and evening is the time we get tired. I say do not read newspapers in the morning, not in the morning, read it towards the evening, and I am going to provide important reasons for this. See, morning time you should be utilizing to look at your optional paper, memorize the content of the optional papers, write answers. This becomes important. Look at essays, write ethics and essay answers. Morning time should be utilized for content revision. Morning time should be utilized for memorizing your content, and it should also be utilized for answer writing, right? So this should be the first part, because this becomes the most creative segment of your day. And both of them should be done in the first half and the second half, both of them, because if you're looking at optional paper in the first half, you should be looking at answer writing in the second half. If you're looking at memorizing something in the first half, you should be looking at writing again in the second half. So these are the two halves which have gone. And third part of the day, towards the later half, 3, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, now you're feeling a little tired. Ab dekho na paper. Ab aayega maza paper dekhne mein, because paper will have diversity of issues, what came up in the news, and it will start to interest you, it will revive your energy levels. So this is the time to produce output, your work in the day, office hours. And in the evening, you will look at what important happened and you will take the inputs. So this is where you produce your output, and this is where you take in daily inputs for you to proceed ahead your portion of studies. So not only will you take inputs from newspaper, you will also make notes. So 1 hour, ideally you should be 1 hour plus, maybe for current affairs, understanding, reading from one source, and the second hour to be spent for preparing of notes, right? So this becomes important, right? Now, if you say ki we will study 365, right? 365, all the current affairs updated in one magazine, or we will go ahead with reading monthly and not daily. Monthly we will read. Monthly is very, very credible from important institutions. We will read that. Then let me ask you a question. Biryani khai hai na? Biryani, dum biryani. It cooks slow, and that is the tastiest biryani. So cook slow means when you give time to your opinions, when you read daily some or the other opinions from the newspapers and some facts, it cooks in our mind, and when it comes out as a refined opinion, this is what is the differentiating factor between a person who has read, who has a stable understanding and opinion and depth of coverage, as compared to the person who has read monthly or waits for an annual magazine for UPSC release, right? That is the difference. Answer mein pata lag jayega. It comes out straight away in the answer. Therefore, reading daily is the critical thing to do, right? So how much time should we spend on a newspaper? So how much time we spend is totally depend on what we pick up. अगर हमें लगता है कि obituary, who has died, who has taken birth, right, matrimony, ये पढ़ना है, तब फिर तो you have all the time in the day to study all that. But if you talk about UPSC preparation, then you should focus on two things. What is the syllabus and what are the previous year questions? They will guide you what to pick up from current affairs, right? So for example, if there is a cover page, you read all the headings of that page, right? All the headings, so because that is the reason they are in the first page, no? Reading the headings, not that everything is relevant there. And then city pages, Mumbai city, Delhi city, no, not required. City pages is not sufficient. On the national page, you will have certain news. For example, political news. Ignore it completely. On the national page, you will have issues related to parliament, its functioning, judiciary, important judgments. Read that, right? This becomes important, right? Then we have editorial and op-ed page, opposite to editorial page. Now, these pages are the ones where there are opinions provided by experts, sometimes civil servants as well. Opinions on climate change, opinions on international relations, opinions on economy of the country and the world. So, those opinions should be read which match with our syllabus, the keywords of our syllabus. You will be able to understand it if you know the syllabus. So syllabus and previous year questions are important hints what to read and what not, what to pick and what not. And automatically the time that you spend in newspapers will decrease with time, right? I will show that to you in a very short while, how I read newspapers, right? And then international page is relevant, but it moves at a very, very slow pace, right? So sometimes in Hindu or in Indian Express, you find the gist. Hindu has the gist and Indian Express has something called explained. Now these articles become important. Why? Because they cover the whole news from history to the present times in crux, in summary. So this is good. Instead of understanding the international issues, step by step and slowly and steadily, these are relevant. So you read the headings of international page, that is sufficient. Business is also an important page, but what in business also becomes important. अब Reliance ने ये खरीदा, Tata ने वो बेचा, वो quarterly result is very good for Britannia, not required. What you got to read is state of Indian economy. What are RBI's policy, right? So something related to India's economy, world economy, that can be understood and read, right? If you're reading sports and films, then this is not about UPSC preparation largely, right? So this is the update from here. Now, this is the Indian Express newspaper for 3rd December 2021, right? So thank you Indian Express for helping me out, showed students some way here. I am going to show to you how to read the important parts and how to ignore it. So while you go through the newspaper, all you got to look at the first go is the headlines, the topics. First Omicron case detected in Karnataka, all right. Sample shows strains, all right. AstraZeneca booster, all right. All you got to know is that booster, vaccine dose have been approved now. So Supreme Court warns Delhi government on pollution, all right. Just to know what has happened, all right. Moving ahead, after Didi, her strategist Kishore, all right. Just ignore it. Now these are the the same thing, complete news covered here. So you got to ignore this again. Now let me go to the third page, the city page. All right, this is just about the city, Mumbai or Delhi or whatever city you are in, So cancel this part, not very important. But look at the headlines, at least the headlines. Sometimes there are ads of the government schemes also, right? So Jan Dhan Yojana, there are ads over here, right? Any important scheme that Prime Minister is going to initiate, Gati Shakti, complete paper ad in, complete, page ad on newspapers. You got to understand that this is a relevant scheme, that means, right? So catch those things. For schools, an open and shut case, all right, pollution. Light rain in Delhi. So this is what talks of the winter rains in Delhi. Get back to your geography and understand why these rains are happening. Don't read this article. Over 1200 crore rupees spent in Central Vista. All right, cancel this. Nizamuddin Basti Conservation Project gets 2 UNESCO award. Now see, you don't have to read this, but you have to understand that Nizamuddin Basti, this is being refurbished. UNESCO award is being given to it for specific reasons. Cultural restoration, cultural heritage. Put this as a case. Right? Write this as an example of how India is preserving its culture, right? All right. Opposition says government mishandled second wave, seeks vaccine booster plan. This is about criticism of the government. All right, legit, but we understand that this is, a Lok Sabha debate on COVID. So if we know the issues of vaccine booster plan, second wave, then we don't have to get through this article, right? This is a political news. Fully vaccinated, vaccination inadequate, need curbs. Okay, government says that. Human trafficking survivors identify gaps in data bill, seek community-based rehabilitation. All right, manual scavenging in news. Okay, lots of ads. Shah invokes Kairana exodus. Just cancel this. Government and politics. See, Akhilesh government, cancel this. Just the heading, cancel this. Clerics body against idea, IUML. Okay, protest at mosque. We are not reading this at all. CBI cites mastermind, wants narco analysis. Cancel this. CBI cites mastermind, wants narco analysis. All right, ignore this news again. But just that we should know what is narco analysis. what are the advanced ways in which investigation is conducted, right? So this is what is, something that you have to look at, not the news. But when you see this kind of news, you got to get back to a Google, or you got to get back to those places where you can get answers to these kind of questions relevant to syllabus, right? Your intuition will also start serving you when you have understood the syllabus and the previous year questions, right? So little effort in the beginning, and then you will see how it helps. India at dock and China and sea, okay? Important editorial. Fertile ground, this is about farm laws and repealment. MSP is effective or not? It is about it. Yes, must read, right? Bad education, CBC's response to own exam, Gujarat, all right, not possibly a very relevant one. Then ideas page, all right, new geography of welfare, NFHS survey and Bimaru states. Oh, good read. This is a good read. And this is on celebrating constitution, must not be struggles and freedom, justice, all right. All right, this could also be read to generate opinions. Could be, not necessarily. And then we have Chinese firms inks deal with Maldives. Why is it important? It's not important, but we just got to know that they have inked the deal. Now, what you should connect to is what are the issues in deals, Chinese deals with various countries. You should understand that the issue, this will get covered in editorial sometime or the other. Should not miss that, right? Parambir, not at all. Cyclone in Odisha, just know that there is a cyclone happening, and then connect to the roots of it. So you got to look at the example and get back. Now, this is the page I'm talking on of the explained pages, right? This is where something is important. What is ART and surrogacy bill covered in this particular part itself becomes very relevant for examination, right? 2 years of pandemic, vaccines, pills and mutant perspective, or perspective on the complete 2 years of COVID. All right, good read, provides a holistic coverage. Market balancing, what is happening in market, right? When the FDI is extracted, why is domestic market putting in money? So some understanding about economy. This is a good page to read, right? Moving ahead, world, Omicron, Germany, US plans new curbs, cancel this, UN's warns Russia as Kremlin talks about threats in Ukraine. All right, if you know what is the issue between Ukraine and Russia, you will not even have to understand anything here. Nuclear deal, US, Iran, voice pessimism. All right, just to know the heading updates, US to restart, Trump era policy. All right, asylum seekers, not relevant. Facebook gross India revenue, not relevant. Panel of secretaries to take up 5G spectrum pricing this week. All right, so cancel this news, not very relevant. Boost of school learning from ADBI funds. All right, yes, this seems a little relevant. Oil rise at OPEC plus sticks to output hike. All right, you should know this, but you should not know Kirloskar or Star Health IPO. And then we come towards the end. Ignore this page, sports page, just know the headings if you're interested, otherwise ignore this completely. Going to next page, again sports, and this is the over. So this is how a newspaper can ideally be looked at first, and later you spot the important articles and then circle them to be read, and then read them at the relevant time, preferably towards the evening, right? And this is how the newspaper can be covered. Now, see, you would be bogged down, so many things to read and what to understand from it. So let me try to tell you the essence of current affairs. The essence of current affairs, how toppers do it, how people who every time successfully do it, is they understand what is the essence of all the news. They prepare notes on it. So while you are studying newspapers, study them for 1 year cycle, and you will know that every time there is Diwali, there will be pollution. Every time there will be pollution, now then air pollution, then it will be in news. What are the solutions? What are the causes? This will get covered right there, right? Every time in the year, there will be conference of parties held, COP, right? So when COP is held, you will understand the climate change issues. It will be repeated every time. Every time there is a WTO summit, you will come to know all the issues that WTO is dealing with, right? Every time there is an international summit that is going to be held, it is largely going to be held once in a year or once in 2 years. All these things will get covered for you. All these things will get repeated year after year. Tell me which news is the one which is very new to the market. COVID? No, it is there in the market for 2 years, right? Tell me, is digital divide a new news? Not at all. India-Pakistan rivalry, new news? No. India-China skirmishes? Not at all. These are all news which have been there in the market for a lot of time. Their history remains same. And if you follow current affairs for 1 year, If you prepare short notes, you will cover more than say 80% of the themes of the news already. बस यही है कि इंडिया न्यूक्लियर बॉम्ब पाकिस्तान पे ना गिरा दे या पाकिस्तान चाइना की लड़ाई ना हो जाए, sudden, and those events which are happening in a jiffy, those are the events which are sudden happenings. Otherwise all of them are in the news, right? So if you follow the current affairs for a year plus, you will know that everything gets repeated. There is a yearly cycle, and after that your time taken to understand current affairs will decrease drastically. For yes, first year it will take a while. It should take a while. When you want to know what is the news, why is it in news, you have to get into the background, no? When you look at the questions, you will have to answer some components of the background, है ना? So अगर वो है तो पहले it will take a while, but slowly it will decrease. It has to decrease, and that is why I ask you, please go and get back to the previous year questions. You will know how the UPSC is framing questions for everybody, right? But student psychology, ये भी सबसे important है, very important. I have gone through this. Many of you are going through this. Some of you have gone through this. This is an important matter of concern, very important. जब जोश आता है ना, when there is a lot of energy inside us, we feel एक पढ़ लिया ना paper, let's go on to read the second one. Oh, there could be something else we are missing. Let's go on to the third one. This will only spend more time from your end. Let's go and read PIB also. What about government reports? अभी report आया 200 पेज का, चलो पढ़ो, right? So fear of missing out. This is one of the important psychologies a disciplined student goes through. और जब भी energy आती है ना, तो anybody can go through this fear of missing out. And we start to studying, hopping from one content to the other. We spend the whole time in the day, right? And we start in the morning, current affairs. So input लेते we spend the whole day in current affairs only. What about optional? What about writing? What about consolidating and revising the material that we have studied? We spend the important time in something else. So fear of missing out is there. No, don't worry. There is no fear of missing out. If you have known one newspaper completely, that is done. Your work is done completely. And what is important will come in the same newspaper in the next day also. So nothing to worry if this paper has not covered the important issue, a particular issue on that day. If the news is important, it will get covered in the same newspaper the following day. So don't have the fear of missing out. कि एक दिन कर लिया ये अच्छे से और भी पेपर पढ़ लेते हैं. नो, इसी को हर रोज पढ़ लो, that becomes sufficient. दूसरा, monthly and 365, I explained this. Do it slow, cook the slow biryani, right? Don't get into hasty preparation of a khichdi, right? Cook a slow biryani and it will be the tastiest when the examiner, they taste your answers. And this is where there is a solution from us. We provide the current affairs, daily current affairs update, a newsletter called as the Daily Gazette from Monday to Friday. What do? We look at 7-8 newspapers every day, and we also look at PIB. We look at important updates, news updates from government, from United Nations, reports, and we produce a 7 to 8 page document with context, not only the update, but with context of why it is in news and what is the background to it, right? So this is how the magazine looks like. And not only the magazine, but we also prepare a video on this. In the evening, we come around 6 o'clock in the evening and we discuss the current affairs and Gazette discussion, the complete discussion of this magazine. And then at 6:45, we go ahead with a special news which has been put inside this, a featured news. And we cover around 13 to 14 articles, right? Every day. What do you need from current affairs? What do we need is general awareness. We need analysis of news, we need opinions, wise opinions, and we need some case studies. We provide all of them in one our daily, and this is a specially curated daily for UPSC examination, right? So you pick up the content from here and it will be in the news sometime or the other, right? So 13 to 14 articles providing data points to you, providing opinions to you. We have editorial coverage also here, terms and concepts, important UPSC updates, specially curated for the examination, and then general awareness articles also, right? So this is the important theme about it. Now, there is a secret. How toppers get through every time. वो current affairs भी कम पढ़ रहे हैं. They're not even going through the material again and again. They scored a rank of 600 last time. This time they improved their rank and got 300 rank. And next time they secured a rank of 25. How is it possible that every time, even when they are in the training or in the job, they're getting through? So, and what is the process of note making? So, if you would like to know more about all this, I will prepare a video. My next video will be on these things only, note making, and what is the reason that toppers get through all the time. So to stay tuned, you got to subscribe to this channel so that you are able to understand the updates. And you also got to tell me what newspaper are you reading, what are the problems that you face, how are you tackling these problems, so that we converse and we solve your problems. So subscribe to this channel, like and share this so that this initiative spreads amongst people and does welfare to all of us preparing for UPSC examination. Thank you for watching.